Welcome back to another episode of Focus on K-12 EdTech and the Education Experience. I'm your host, Doug Conopelco, Education Strategist with CDWG. Today, I talk with Bradford Harris, an EdTech leader from Texas who's leading the way with Scholastic Esports. Let's dive in.
So my name is Bradford Harris. This is my 14th year in education, and I am a digital innovator. I started out as a ELA teacher 14 years ago. Then I transitioned to science and social studies in elementary. And then I became what you call an instructional technology specialist or ed tech. They're all pretty much the same thing. And I transitioned into what my current role is, the digital innovation coordinator or director, which is where I'm sitting at right now. And I have two kids. They are out of school officially, K-12, wife, two dogs, white picket fence. I don't really have a white picket fence, but you get the idea. But and this month is actually my 20th wedding anniversary. So super excited.
There you go. So you got a lot going on.
I
Hey,
have a
I
lot
know
going
one of
on.
those things that you're passionate about, that you work on, is esports.
Yeah.
I know we're at like what I think is like the beginning of just hockey stick exponential growth for esports.
Mhm.
What does the fact that it's still so new really mean for people who are looking to start a program?
I think the fact that because it's so new, people are looking for that handbook, so to speak. They're trying to grasp for straws. They're trying to look for who's doing it the quote right way. And there is no right way to do what we call in the community scholastic esports or academic esports. Um, the goal that you want to look for is a quality program, just like you would do with your band, choir, football, theater, your after school clubs. All of those are quality programs. And so if you really think about it, you're not doing a lot of research. Maybe you are, but you're not doing a lot of research to find, okay, how does this program work? How does this program work? Esports is the same thing. We're not looking for, a cookie cutter approach. For Scholastic Esports, you're really looking at that quality academic side of it, but it does take a lot of work. And I always tell people with any program, you want to look at the longevity of it. If you should get promoted, quit, fired, whatever, the program still needs to exist in some way capacity to where if you want to come back and just see how the program is doing, does it still exist? Is it going to change? Yes, it's going to change. But is that program still there? Are students successful in that program? Are they still engaged? Are they getting opportunities in the program? So those are the things that we look for. And again, notice I really didn't say what game are they playing or what's the latest equipment that they have. That's not what it's about. It's about community involvement, collaboration, and just showing that camaraderie and inclusivity with all students.
Absolutely. So you've now run a small pilot program for Scholastic Esports in your own district. So maybe take us through just a couple things you've learned as you've started to do this work there, Bradford.
So, wow, I learned a lot. So, even taking a step back, I had the, let's say, quote, idea of I want to do gaming, I want to do esports. But my director at the time was, okay, you need to take it slow, go out, do your research, talk to people, see what this is about. And of course, anybody, especially in edtech, I don't want to pinpoint anybody in edtech, but we're always looking for the latest new thing just to keep the engagement, and we want it to happen like tomorrow. Don't care what the budget is, but we just want to have it happen now. But one of the things that I'm proud that my director does for did for me was You want to make this a slow process. So I'm in year four, not year four of having an esports program. I've been doing this research for about 4 years, looking at what school, how are these schools doing this? Who do I need to talk to? What conferences do I need to go to? How much does it cost to run a program? How do I get students involved? How do I get parents involved? So then we flash forward to last year, the pandemic. So that took, a punch in the gut to everybody. Well, what we noticed is all programs shut down. But then here is esports. What do we do with that? So what I decided to do through my friend who is a CS program director, she said, I see your passion in this. I see you're studying this. You're going to keep going in this. I want to help you run this after school program in the virtual space. One of the things that both myself and her agree upon, her name is Shayna Glass, is that having being in a virtual space is powerful, whether you're an adult or a student. So, moving forward, we want to see, well, what does this look like in esports? I couldn't promise anybody anything. Again, we're in a pandemic. So I couldn't say, you're going to have all this equipment here. Everybody's at home all over the place. But what I did say was for my teachers, I just need you in the space. I need you to get a feel for what this is like. There are essentially no rules to this except for, best digital citizenship practices. Um, I wanted to have them understand that you are first and foremost a teacher. This is after school, virtual, or if this was face to face, no matter what it was, your core content comes first. And then let's talk after school esports. So I had two teachers who decided to come on board to do this. And what was really exciting about this is that there were two males of color. And that was one of my biggest things, and it still is. I wanted to make sure that students who looked like me were in this space. I can't give you the numbers right now because I don't want to like quote anything, but we all know that there are not a lot of students of color, LGBTQ, females in this space. So I want to make sure that that was important, that we were all represented in this space. Didn't have any rules, but what I wanted to do was I want them to experience, what does this feel like? What's working? What's not working? I had them register through NASEF, North American Scholastic Esports Federation, which was free. That was a big seller to my district because you don't have to pay for anything. And then through the Texas affiliate, TechSEF, Texas Scholastic Esports Federation, where again, you don't have to pay for anything. So it was a no brainer. And so I would just get feedback. What's going on? How are things going? How is the registration process? And they gave me feedback. Number one, this registration, there's a lot going on here. We may want to fix this. Even in the pandemic, they told me that yes, this is online, but doing giving the actual paper where they can just at least come to school and get it is going to work, which blew my mind. A second thing that I learned is I'm thinking, well, the students that I serve, maybe they want to be on just a console. No, they need to shift to PC, and those were the students that said this. So to sum it all up, it was really a learning experience with um, what worked, what didn't work, and what I needed to prepare for this coming year to get more students on board. And again, this more teachers on board. It's a slow rollout. This was never. We're going to get all campuses. We have 80 plus campuses in our district. It was never. We're going to do all this all at once to get everybody on board because I wanted to see number one how I needed to develop partnerships and how I was even going to manage any type of devices in the district and work with what we had.
I appreciate that. A lot, I feel like a lot of lessons learned all around there, I'm sure,
Oh
not
yeah,
just on your end, but on those teachers and on those students. And that's what's going to help, build out that program and let it grow. So,
yes,
right after that, I'm going to go into, either rank these items of importance for someone looking to start a program, or just talk a little bit about what you feel is most important here. But I'm going to go
Okay.
with knowledge of games and gaming culture, comfort with technology, the ability to cultivate relationships, and maybe background as a coach. And if I missed something there, you need me to go back or repeat anything, I can definitely do that.
Okay, so the first one I think you said was the relationship part, and forgive me if I
First, with the
rephrase
knowledge of
it.
games and gaming culture.
No, the other one's not the not the knowledge of games, but the relate something about you said about relationships,
Yes. Yep.
building relationships. I think first and foremost that's important. You're gonna have to build relationships with parents. You're gonna have to build relationships with students who are interested or not interested. You're gonna have to build relationships with your IT department. Okay, you and I both are in the ed tech space, so essentially, if we were running the program, it's easy. But what if a ELA teacher wanted to do this and they have no kind of communication with IT? You're gonna have to build that relationship. How are you gonna make those connections? Principals, admin, even talking with potential vendors. How do I talk to people like NASEF, PlayVS, HSL, whoever you want to partner with? There's a lot of relationship building and research that you have to do. So that's why it took me this long to go through that part of the process. Luckily, again, for people like you and me, we're in that ed tech space and I'm at the district level, you were at that district level. So it's easy for me to like pick up a phone call and say, hey, I want to do this or I want this to join. It's not so easy for a teacher. I did a presentation in ISTE called Know Your Role, and I had to define if you're a student, this is where you fall. If you are a teacher, this is where you fall, and so on and so forth. So they can understand the reality of, okay, here is where my barriers are going to be. Just because, again, I keep talking about us as ed tech directors, just because we're ed tech directors doesn't mean that we don't have any barriers. We do. There's a barrier for everybody, and you have to be aware of what those barriers are. And so when I present that, they go, okay, this is where I'm going to hit. What was the other three?
Knowledge of games and gaming culture, comfort with technology, and background as a coach.
So knowledge of games and comfort of technology, I'm gonna lump those in two. And I'm putting this all on the adults. Because I think with the students, and I hate to stereotype the students, but the students are gonna be more amped to learn the tech and the game easily. The adults, they think I have to know the game, I have to know the tech. Again, I'm pigeonholing us both. If we don't know it, then we don't look like we're the experts. Okay, that's not true. We are the facilitators in the space. We do not have to be the experts. Is there a little bit of knowledge that you have to know? A tiny bit, but don't let that stop you from creating your program. Okay, so I'll admit, I have multiple consoles in my house, but that doesn't mean that I'm an expert at every single game. My students, my own kids, I let them guide and lead me into what I'm supposed to do. If you are a classroom teacher, channel that into what you would do in the classroom. Here's what I see you doing in this game. I may not know Fortnite, I may not know Rocket League, but this is what I see. I learned that from Chris Aviles. Thank you, Chris Aviles. So um, that's how I look at those two. You're not looking to be an expert, but what you're looking at is, do you have good classroom management skills? Can you maneuver through a little bit of tech? Sure. And if you can't, that's okay. The classroom management is the biggest. Okay. What was the next one?
That's good. We're good there. What
All
what I
right.
want to we're flying through, and it always happens like this. So I want to just get to one last question here and just say, if someone is starting a new program this year and they're new to the esports world, they want to get started. What are some resources, books, blogs, podcasts, people to follow, whatever, some things that you found really useful during your learning about esports.
Well, I will tell you, when I first got started, I'm not gonna lie to you, I um, followed James O'Hagan in the Academy of Esports. Didn't know him from Adam, but he was just so, I felt like he was so knowledgeable in space, so I connected with him. You could just literally Google the Academy of Esports, and he has a lot of good resources there.
Yeah, we'll throw
Um,
all that we'll throw whatever you talk about in the description.
sure. Again, I mentioned Chris Aviles. He's an awesome person to follow. Um, NASEF. My Texas organization, TechSev, is a good resource. Books, there's one, I'm gonna pull it up right here, shameless plug. I didn't write it, but I dedicated some space to it. The Esports Education Playbook. Yes, I did say that there's no rule book, but don't think of this as the how-to book. These are just different ideas that a lot of us got together and helped Chris Aviles, Steve Isaacs, Jesse Levinsky, Christine Lyon Bailey. We helped kind of just collaborate on. So those are some ideas there that you can take a look at. What else? Those are like the top what, 3 or 4 that I could think of right off the top of my head, but there's a whole lot more. The biggest thing that I know that helped me, and again, I hate to give that shameless plug out, is I'm giving a shout out to NASEF again because I was a Scholastic Fellow. They have a Scholastic Fellowship program where they really took me through just how to look at Scholastic esports and present it to administrators and other teachers. So even though I'm saying NASEF, you want to look for programs that are going to just give you a good walkthrough, a good guide of how to put this in your classroom and in your organization.
Bradford, thank you so much for spending some time with us talking through your journey with esports so far.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us today on Focus on K-12 EdTech and the Education Experience. If you enjoyed today's show, please feel free to like, subscribe, and click the little bell so that you get notified whenever we post a new episode. Or reach out to me on Twitter @dconopelco. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time as we focus on K-12.